The silver transport ship hummed quietly as it moved through the endless darkness of space. Inside its cargo hold, dozens of alien creatures sat in cramped metal cages, their eyes filled with fear and confusion. The Zephyrian traders had collected these specimens from various worlds during their monthly harvesting run. Most would be sold as exotic pets to wealthy collectors across the galaxy. Commander Vextar clicked his four-clawed hands against his datapad as he walked through the rows of cages. His blue-scaled face showed no emotion as he cataloged each creature. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy as efficient traders who never let sentiment interfere with profit. They had been in the exotic creature business for over 3 centuries, and their reputation for delivering healthy specimens was unmatched. Near the back of the cargo hold, a large cage held 2 wolves from Earth. The mother wolf lay on her side, breathing heavily. Her thick gray fur was matted with sweat and stress. Beside her, a small black pup whimpered softly, pressing close to her mother's warm body. The pup's golden eyes darted around the strange metal walls, searching for something familiar in this terrifying new world. The mother wolf had been captured 3 days earlier while hunting in the forests of northern Canada. The Zephyrians had used neural nets to stun her, but not before she had tried desperately to hide her pup in a hollow log. Unfortunately, their scanners had detected the young one's heartbeat, and both had been taken aboard the ship. Vextar stopped in front of their cage and made notes on his device. The adult wolf was listed for sale to a private zoo on Kepler Prime, while the pup was destined for a collector on Rigel 7 who specialized in young predators. The commander had dealt with Earth creatures before and knew they were popular among buyers who wanted something fierce but manageable. Status report on the Earth mammals. Vextar called to his assistant, a thin, purple-skinned Novarian named Rixel. The adult female shows signs of stress but remains healthy. The juvenile appears strong despite the capture trauma. Both should arrive in sellable condition, Rixel replied, checking his own scanner readings. The mother wolf lifted her head at the sound of their voices. Her dark eyes held an intelligence that made even the experienced traders feel slightly uncomfortable. She had learned to recognize the different alien crew members over the past few days. This blue-scaled one seemed to be in charge, while the purple one brought food and water. She had tried everything she could think of to escape. She had clawed at the metal bars until her paws bled. She had howled until her throat was raw, hoping someone might hear her calls across the vast emptiness of space. She had even tried to hide her pup beneath her body when the aliens came too close. But the cage was too small for any real protection. The worst part was knowing that her pack was probably still searching for them back on Earth. Her mate and the other wolves would have followed their scent trail to the place where it simply vanished. They would never understand what had happened. They would wait and search until winter came, never knowing that their family had been stolen away to the stars. As the ship continued its journey, other captured creatures made various sounds of distress. A pair of rainbow-colored birds from Centauri Beta chirped nervously in their tiny enclosure. A family of small furry mammals from Proxima squeaked and huddled together. Each species dealt with their captivity in their own way, but all shared the same look of hopelessness. The mother wolf watched her pup carefully. The little one was too young to understand what was happening, but she could sense her mother's fear. The pup had stopped trying to play and now spent most of her time sleeping or nursing. The stress was affecting her appetite, and the mother wolf worried that her milk supply was decreasing. Vextar returned several hours later for his evening inspection. He noticed that the wolf pup seemed smaller than before, and made a note to have Rixel increase their food rations. Sick animals meant lost profits, and the Zephyrians prided themselves on delivering healthy specimens. The small Earth predator appears to be losing weight, he observed, crouching down near their cage. The mother wolf immediately moved to block his view of her pup, baring her teeth in a silent warning. Her message was clear even across species barriers. Stay away from my child. Vextar was impressed by the display of maternal instinct but remained unconcerned. He had seen similar behavior from creatures all across the galaxy. Parent bonds were strong in most species, but they were irrelevant once the creatures reached their new owners. The buyers would separate them anyway, as young animals were easier to train when removed from parental influence. Increase their nutrition supplements, Vexitar instructed his assistant. The juvenile needs to remain healthy for the next 4 days until we reach the trading station. As the aliens walked away, the mother wolf curled protectively around her pup. She licked the small black head gently and made soft whining sounds that seemed to comfort the frightened baby. Somewhere in her heart, she still held hope that somehow they would find their way home to the green forests and clear streams of earth. The ship's artificial lights dimmed as the automated systems shifted to night cycle. Most of the captured creatures settled down to sleep as best they could in their metal prisons. The mother wolf remained alert, her ears constantly moving as she monitored every sound in the cargo hold. She had decided that she would not give up hope until her last breath. Unknown to everyone aboard the Zephyrian vessel, their ship had been detected by long-range sensors belonging to a small human exploration craft. The humans had been tracking unusual ship movements in this sector for weeks, investigating reports of illegal wildlife trafficking. Captain Sarah Chen was studying the data on her screen, trying to determine if this ship matched the profile of known smugglers. Interesting energy signature, she muttered to her second officer. Set course to intercept. Let's see what they're carrying. The distance between the two ships was closing, though neither the captured wolves nor their captors knew that help was only hours away. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the human exploration vessel Aurora, watching the alien ship grow larger on their main display screen. Her crew had spent the last 6 months investigating reports of missing Earth animals, following a trail that led them deeper into unexplored space than any human had ventured before. Scanning complete. Captain, reported Lieutenant Torres from his sensor station. The vessel appears to be Zephyrian in design. We're detecting multiple life signs in what looks like a cargo compartment. Sarah's jaw tightened. The Zephyrians were known throughout this sector of space as traders who operated in legal gray areas. If they were carrying Earth creatures, it meant someone was paying them very well for illegal specimens. Open a communication channel, Sarah ordered. The main screen flickered as Commander Vextar's blue-scaled face appeared. His forearms gestured in what humans had learned was a sign of polite greeting among his species. Greetings, human vessel. I am Commander Vextar of the merchant ship Prophet's Edge. How may we assist you today? This is Captain Chen of the Earth vessel Aurora. We're conducting routine inspections in this sector for compliance with interstellar wildlife protection treaties. We request permission to board your ship. Vexitar's expression remained neutral, but Sarah noticed his claws tapping nervously on his command console. I'm afraid that would be most inconvenient, Captain Chen. We are carrying time-sensitive cargo that cannot be exposed to foreign atmospheres. I see. Then you won't mind if we perform a remote bioscan of your vessel? Sarah's tone made it clear this wasn't really a question. Before Vextar could respond, Lieutenant Torres spoke quietly. Captain, I'm reading Earth mammal DNA signatures. Canine species. 2 individuals, 1 adult and 1 juvenile. Sarah felt anger rising in her chest but kept her voice steady. Commander Vextar, our scans indicate you're carrying protected Earth species without proper documentation. Under Article 12 of the Galactic Wildlife Protection Accord, I'm authorized to board your vessel immediately. Vextar's 4 hands moved quickly over his controls. Captain, perhaps we can reach a mutually beneficial arrangement. The Zephyrian Trade Guild is always interested in establishing positive relationships with emerging species like humanity. The only arrangement I'm interested in is the safe return of those stolen animals, Sarah replied coldly. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. In the cargo hold of the Zephyrian ship, the mother wolf sensed something changing. The ship's vibrations had altered, and she could hear urgent voices speaking in the alien language through the metal walls. Her instincts told her that something significant was happening, though she didn't understand what. The pup had grown weaker over the past day, barely lifting her head to nurse. The mother wolf licked her constantly, trying to keep her warm and encourage her to eat. She made soft whining sounds that were both comfort and plea, begging her daughter to stay strong just a little longer. Commander Vexitar made a decision that would change everything. Rather than face human inspection and possible arrest, he decided to jettison the most problematic cargo. Earth creatures were valuable, but not valuable enough to risk his trading license over. Rick Saul, prepare to dump Cargo Bay Section 7, he ordered. Sir, that contains the Earth mammals and several other high-value specimens. His assistant protested. Better to lose some profit than lose everything. The humans are too persistent about their precious planet creatures. We can replace them on the next harvesting run. The assistant reluctantly began the jettisoning sequence. Warning lights flashed red throughout the cargo hold as the ship's computer announced the procedure in various alien languages. The captured creatures sensed danger and began making distressed sounds. The mother wolf felt the floor beneath their cage vibrating differently. The mechanical sounds were unfamiliar, but her instincts screamed danger. She gathered her pup closer, pressing the small body against her warmth as she tried to understand what was happening. Suddenly, the outer wall of their section began to open. The vacuum of space tried to pull everything out, but emergency force fields kept the atmosphere contained temporarily. However, the cages themselves were being moved toward the opening by automated systems. The mother wolf howled in terror and defiance as their cage slid toward the growing gap that showed nothing but cold stars. Her pup, sensing the mortal danger, found enough strength to add her small voice to her mother's cry. Together they sang a song of fear and love that echoed through the metal chamber. On the bridge of the Aurora, Lieutenant Torres suddenly looked up from his instruments with alarm. "Captain, the alien ship is jettisoning cargo. I'm reading multiple life signs being expelled into space." Sarah didn't hesitate. "Emergency protocols. Launch rescue pods immediately. Get me a suit and prepare the medical bay for multiple species." "Captain, we don't know what kind of life support those creatures need," Dr. Martinez warned from the medical station. "Then we figure it out as we go. No one dies in space on my watch." The human rescue operation launched with efficiency born from months of training. 3 small pods shot out from the Aurora, their pilots racing against time to collect the floating cages before the life support systems failed. Ensign Lisa Park piloted the lead rescue pod, her young hands steady on the controls despite the urgency of the mission. She had grown up on a farm in Iowa and understood the bond between mother and child that transcended species. As she maneuvered toward the cage containing the 2 wolves, she could see the adult desperately trying to shield the smaller one. "Got visual on the primary targets," Lisa reported over the communication system. "Adult and juvenile canines Earth origin. They're alive, but the smaller one appears distressed. Bring them in first," Captain Chen ordered. "Those force fields won't hold much longer." Lisa carefully positioned her pod's cargo bay beneath the floating cage. The magnetic grapples engaged with a solid clunk that she felt through the hull. Package secured. Returning to the Aurora. Inside their cage, the mother wolf felt the strange motion as they were pulled into the rescue pod. The terrifying cold of space was replaced by warmth and the humming of different machines. She didn't understand what was happening, but her keen senses detected something important. These new smells were different from the Zephyrians. Whatever had taken them now wasn't the same species that had stolen them from Earth. As the rescue pod docked with the Aurora, the mother wolf heard new voices speaking in an entirely different language. These sounds were somehow less harsh, more melodic than the clicking and hissing of the Zephyrians. She remained alert but noticed that her terror was slowly being replaced by cautious curiosity. The cargo bay doors opened, and for the first time in days, the wolves saw creatures that walked on only 2 legs and had soft, pale skin instead of scales. The humans moved carefully around their cage, speaking in gentle tones that the mother wolf found oddly comforting. Dr. Martinez approached slowly, her hands visible and empty. She had studied Earth mammals during her xenobiology training and recognized the signs of extreme stress in both animals. The adult was protective but alert, while the juvenile appeared to be suffering from dehydration and malnutrition. "Easy, girl," Dr. Martinez said softly, though she knew the wolf couldn't understand her words. "We're going to help you both. I promise." The mother wolf tilted her head at the strange new sounds, her golden eyes fixed on this bipedal creature that somehow felt less threatening than their previous captors. Dr. Martinez worked carefully in the Aurora's medical bay, monitoring both wolves while they remained in a modified containment unit that provided safety for both the animals and the crew. The mother wolf watched every movement with intense focus, her protective instincts still high despite the gentler treatment she was receiving from these new captors. "The adult appears stable, but stressed," Dr. Martinez reported to Captain Chen. "The pup is severely dehydrated and hasn't been eating properly. I estimate she's about 6 weeks old, which means she's completely dependent on her mother's milk." Captain Chen studied the data on her tablet. "What do they need for recovery?" "Time, proper nutrition, and most importantly, they need to feel safe. The trauma from their capture and the space exposure has left both of them in a state of constant alert. The mother won't relax until she believes her pup is out of danger. Through the transparent walls of their enclosure, the mother wolf could see humans moving around the medical facility. Unlike the Zephyrians, these creatures moved more slowly and spoke in quieter tones. They hadn't tried to separate her from her pup, which was the most important sign that maybe, just maybe, these beings were different. Ensign Lisa Park entered the medical bay carrying a data pad and a cup of coffee. She had volunteered to help with the rescued animals since her agricultural background gave her experience with stressed livestock. As she approached the containment unit, both wolves focused their attention on her. "How are our passengers doing, Doc?" Lisa asked, settling into a chair near the enclosure. "Better than expected. The mother is keeping the pup warm and trying to nurse her, which is encouraging. I'm more worried about their mental state than their physical condition at this point." Lisa set down her coffee and tablet, then sat quietly observing the wolves. She had learned from her grandfather that sometimes the best way to help frightened animals was simply to be present without demanding anything from them. She began speaking in a soft, steady voice about nothing in particular, just letting them get used to the sound of human speech. "You know, back home on Iowa, we had a farm dog who had puppies during a terrible thunderstorm," Lisa said quietly. She was so scared that she wouldn't let anyone near her babies for days. "My grandmother used to sit by the barn and just talk to her about the weather, about what she was cooking for dinner, about anything at all." The mother wolf tilted her head slightly, responding to the gentle tone even though the words meant nothing to her. The pup stirred weakly in her mother's embrace, showing the first signs of alertness she had displayed since being rescued. Dr. Martinez noticed the subtle change in both animals. "Keep talking, Lisa. I think they're responding to your voice." "My grandmother said that fear makes every creature feel alone in the world," Lisa continued. "But a kind voice reminds them that they're not really alone, even when everything else feels scary and strange." Over the next several hours, Lisa established a routine of sitting near the wolves and talking to them during her off-duty periods. She told them about Earth, about farms and forests, about other dogs she had known. The mother wolf gradually began to relax when Lisa was present, though she remained watchful when other humans entered the medical bay. Meanwhile, Captain Chen was dealing with the diplomatic aftermath of their rescue operation. The Zephyrian ship had fled immediately after jettisoning their cargo, but not before transmitting a formal complaint to the Galactic Trade Commission about human interference with legitimate commerce. "They're claiming we had no authority to inspect their vessel," Lieutenant Torres reported from the communication station. "They jettisoned living creatures into space," Captain Chen replied firmly. "That violates about 12 different interstellar laws, regardless of what species those creatures belong to." The rescue had also yielded 6 other alien creatures from various worlds, all of which appeared to be victims of illegal wildlife trafficking. The Aurora's crew was working around the clock to provide appropriate care for each species while documenting evidence of the crimes they had witnessed. In the medical bay, the mother wolf was beginning to show signs of improvement. Dr. Martinez had carefully provided nutrition supplements that helped boost her milk production, and the pup was nursing more regularly. Both animals were still clearly traumatized, but their physical health was stabilizing. Lisa had taken to reading to them from her electronic tablet during her visits. She read stories about Earth animals, descriptions of forests and mountains, and sometimes just random articles about human culture. The wolves didn't understand the content, but the rhythm of her voice seemed to have a calming effect on both of them. "You know what I think they miss most?" Lisa said to Dr. Martinez during one of their sessions. "I think they miss the feel of earth under their feet and wind that doesn't come from air circulation systems." Dr. Martinez looked up from her medical readings. "What are you thinking?" "Well, we have that environmental simulation room that the botanical team uses. It's designed to recreate Earth-like conditions for plant experiments. Maybe we could modify it to give them a taste of home." The idea required approval from Captain Chen and extensive safety protocols, but within 2 days, the crew had transformed part of the simulation room into a small enclosed area with synthetic grass, Earth-normal gravity, and even recordings of forest sounds played at low volume. When they carefully transported the wolves to their new temporary environment, the change in both animals was immediate and dramatic. The mother wolf stood on the artificial grass and took her first deep breath in over a week. The texture under her paws, the familiar scent of growing things, and the sound of wind through leaves triggered memories of home that she thought she had lost forever. The pup, strengthened by several days of proper nutrition and her mother's improved condition, took her first tentative steps on solid ground since being captured. She stumbled and fell several times, but each attempt was stronger than the last. Lisa sat cross-legged on the synthetic grass, maintaining her usual practice of quiet conversation. "That's it, little one. It feels good to have real ground under your feet again, doesn't it?" The mother wolf approached Lisa slowly, stopping just outside of arm's reach. For the first time since their rescue, she made a sound that wasn't born of fear or distress. It was a soft whine that seemed almost like a question. "I know, girl," Lisa said softly. "You want to know if you can trust us? I wish I could make you understand that we're going to take you home." The breakthrough came when the pup, emboldened by the familiar feeling of earth and grass, wandered too close to the edge of their enclosed area. She was still weak and stumbled, falling awkwardly near the barrier. Before anyone could react, Lisa instinctively reached out and gently steadied the small animal, preventing her from injuring herself. The mother wolf tensed for a moment, but instead of aggression, she watched carefully as Lisa's gentle hands helped her daughter back to safety. When Lisa immediately withdrew and resumed her non-threatening posture, the mother wolf made a decision that would change everything. She approached Lisa directly and, for the first time since her capture, deliberately sought contact with one of her captors. She pressed her nose briefly against Lisa's outstretched hand, a gesture of cautious trust that brought tears to the young ensign's eyes. "Dr. Martinez," Lisa called softly, not wanting to break the moment. "I think we just had our first real communication." From that moment forward, the healing process accelerated for both wolves. The mother began to understand that these humans were different from the aliens who had stolen them. The pup grew stronger each day, playing in the artificial grass and learning to trust the gentle voices that spoke to her constantly. Captain Chen received regular reports on their progress and began making preparations for the long journey back to Earth. The Aurora had been equipped for extended deep space exploration, but returning these animals to their home would require a significant detour from their original mission. "It's the right thing to do," she told her senior officers during their daily briefing. These creatures didn't choose to be part of some galactic adventure. They deserve to go home. 3 weeks into their journey back to Earth, the Aurora had become an unlikely ark carrying rescued creatures from across the galaxy. The ship's crew had transformed several sections into specialized habitats for their passengers, but none received as much attention as the small family of wolves who had captured everyone's hearts. Lisa Park had become the unofficial ambassador to the wolf family. What had started as basic animal care had evolved into a genuine relationship, built on mutual respect and growing trust. The mother wolf, whom Lisa had begun calling Luna because of her silver-gray coat, now approached her willingly and even seemed to enjoy their daily conversations. The pup, who Lisa called Star due to a distinctive white marking on her forehead, had grown stronger and more playful with each passing day. She was learning to eat solid food that Dr. Martinez had specially prepared based on Earth canine nutritional requirements, though she still nursed regularly from her mother. Captain's log, day 21 of our return journey, Captain Chen recorded in her personal notes. Our rescued passengers continue to recover from their trauma. Ensign Park has established remarkable rapport with the Earth Wolves, which has allowed Dr. Martinez to conduct thorough health assessments without sedation. In the modified simulation room, Lisa sat cross-legged on the artificial grass while Star tumbled around her feet, playing with a makeshift toy that the engineering team had created from spare fabric. Luna rested nearby, watching her daughter's antics with what could only be described as contentment. "You know, Star, your mom is incredibly brave," Lisa said, gently scratching behind the pup's ears. "She protected you through everything, even when she was scared and didn't know what was happening." Luna's ears perked up at the sound of her name, and she approached Lisa with the confident stride she had developed over their weeks together. She had learned that this particular human represented safety and kindness, qualities that had helped her trust gradually expand to include the rest of the Aurora's crew. Dr. Martinez entered the simulation room carrying her daily medical scanner and a small bag of nutritional supplements. Both wolves had learned to associate her presence with improved health and better food, so they no longer showed stress when she appeared. "How are our patients today?" Dr. Martinez asked, beginning her routine examination of Star. "Star's been much more active this morning. She actually played tug of war with that fabric toy for almost 10 minutes, Lisa reported. And Luna ate all of her breakfast, which is the third day in a row she's finished everything. The doctor ran her scanner over the pup and nodded with satisfaction. Excellent weight gain. Her muscle tone is improving and her coat is getting shinier. Whatever we're doing is working. As Dr. Martinez examined Luna, the mother wolf remained calm and cooperative. She had learned that these brief medical checks were followed by extra treats and often extended playtime with Lisa. The trust she had developed allowed the medical team to monitor both wolves' recovery without causing additional stress. Lieutenant Torres arrived in the simulation room with a data pad and an excited expression. Lisa, you need to see this. We've been monitoring communication channels from Earth, and there's something you're going to find very interesting. He activated a holographic display that showed news broadcasts from various Earth media outlets. The headlines were all variations of the same story. Missing wolves spotted on deep space rescue ship, and human crew saves Earth animals from alien traffickers. How did they find out about this? Lisa asked, watching footage of her own farm in Iowa where reporters were interviewing her parents. Apparently, the Aurora's mission logs are automatically transmitted to Earth Command during our regular check-ins, Torres explained. Someone leaked the story about our rescue operation, and it's become major news. Look at this part. The hologram shifted to show a press conference where officials from the Global Wildlife Protection Agency were announcing a massive search effort. They had tracked Luna and Star's origin to a specific wolf pack in northern Canada, and were coordinating with the human space program to ensure the animal's safe return. Your wolves are celebrities, Dr. Martinez observed with amusement. Half of Earth is following their story. Lisa felt a mix of pride and concern. I hope all this attention doesn't make their reintegration more difficult. They need to go back to being wild wolves, not media sensations. As if sensing the change in mood, Luna approached Lisa and rested her head against the human's shoulder in a gesture that had become their daily ritual. The wolf couldn't understand the conversation, but she had learned to recognize when her human friend was worried about something. Don't worry, girl, Lisa said softly, stroking Luna's thick fur. We're going to make sure you and Star get home safely, no matter how many reporters are waiting for us. The next few days brought additional challenges as the Aurora received communication requests from news organizations, government officials, and even entertainment companies wanting to document the wolves' story. Captain Chen firmly declined all media access, maintaining that the animals' welfare took priority over public curiosity. These wolves have been through enough trauma, Captain Chen announced during a crew meeting. We're not going to parade them around for the cameras. Our job is to get them home safely and quietly. Meanwhile, Earth's scientific community was buzzing with excitement about the implications of the rescue. The Aurora had documented clear evidence of interstellar wildlife trafficking, and had proven that humans were willing to risk diplomatic incidents to protect Earth's creatures. The incident was already being cited in proposals for stronger galactic environmental protection laws. In the simulation room, Lisa continued her daily routine with Luna and Star, but now she found herself preparing them for what would come after their return to Earth. She had learned from the wildlife experts on the communication channels that reintegrating captive wolves into their original pack would require careful planning and monitoring. The good news is that your pack is still in the same territory where you were captured, Lisa explained to Luna, though she knew the wolf didn't understand the specific words. The wildlife biologists have been tracking them with remote cameras, and they're all healthy and waiting for winter to end. Star had grown bold enough to climb into Lisa's lap during their conversation sessions, something that amazed Dr. Martinez from a behavioral standpoint. Wild wolves typically avoided human contact, but Star had learned to associate humans with safety and comfort during her most vulnerable developmental period. She's going to have an interesting perspective on humans for the rest of her life, Dr. Martinez observed during one of their medical sessions. I hope it doesn't interfere with her ability to function as a wild wolf. Luna will teach her what she needs to know, Lisa said confidently. Mothers are the same across all species when it comes to protecting their children and passing on survival skills. As if to prove Lisa's point, Luna had recently begun discouraging some of Star's more dependent behaviors around the humans. She would gently redirect her daughter's attention back to herself when Star became too focused on Lisa, and she had started bringing Star pieces of food to encourage more independent eating habits. The Aurora's journey back to Earth continued through the vast emptiness of interstellar space, carrying its precious cargo toward home. The ship's crew had developed strong emotional attachments to all their rescued passengers, but none more so than to the small wolf family who had taught them about courage, resilience, and the universal power of maternal love. Captain Chen found herself visiting the simulation room more frequently as they approached the final weeks of their journey. Watching Luna and Star play together on the artificial grass reminded her why humanity had ventured into space in the first place, not just to explore and discover, but to protect and preserve the beautiful diversity of life that made their universe so remarkable. "Computer, update ship's log," Captain Chen said during one of her visits. "Day 28 of return journey. All passengers remain healthy and continue recovery from trauma. Crew morale remains high despite the extended mission duration. I am proud to serve with officers who understand that our greatest discoveries sometimes involve learning how to be better caretakers of the life we already know." The Aurora approached Earth's outer sensor network after 6 weeks of interstellar travel, carrying its cargo of rescued creatures toward home. Captain Chen stood on the bridge watching her home planet grow larger on the main display, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and apprehension about the media circus that awaited them. "Captain, we're receiving priority communications from Earth Command," Lieutenant Torres reported. "Admiral Reeves wants to speak with you directly." The main screen flickered to life, showing the weathered face of Admiral Sarah Reeves, head of the Human Deep Space Exploration Division. Her expression was serious but not unfriendly. "Captain Chen, welcome home. I trust your passengers are in good health?" "Yes, Admiral. All rescued creatures have recovered well from their ordeal. Dr. Martinez has maintained detailed medical records for each species, and our Earth animals are ready for reintegration." "Excellent work, Captain. However, I need to brief you on some complications that have arisen during your return journey." Admiral Reeves activated a data transmission that filled the bridge screens with diplomatic communications and news reports. The Aurora's rescue operation had created ripple effects throughout the galactic community. The Zephyrian Trade Guild has filed formal protests with the Galactic Council, claiming human forces attacked their vessel and stole legitimate cargo, Admiral Reeves explained. "They're demanding compensation and threatening trade sanctions." Captain Chen felt her jaw tighten. "Admiral, we have complete sensor records proving they jettisoned living creatures into space. That's attempted murder under any civilized legal system." "I agree completely, Captain. The evidence you've gathered has actually strengthened humanity's position in ongoing negotiations for stronger wildlife protection laws. Your actions may have been controversial, but they were absolutely justified." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from Dr. Martinez in the medical bay. "Captain, you need to see this. Luna is exhibiting some unusual behavior." Captain Chen quickly concluded her conversation with the Admiral and made her way to the simulation room, where she found Lisa sitting quietly with both wolves. Luna was pacing restlessly around the enclosure, pausing frequently to sniff the air and make soft whining sounds. "She started this about an hour ago," Lisa explained. "It's like she can sense something different, but I can't figure out what's changed." Dr. Martinez consulted her scanner readings. Her stress indicators are elevated, but not in a way that suggests illness or fear. It's more like anticipation or excitement. Captain Chen studied Luna's behavior and suddenly understood. "Computer, display our current position relative to Earth." The holographic star chart showed the Aurora's location within Earth's solar system, close enough for the planet's gravitational field to affect sensitive instruments. Captain Chen realized that Luna might be responding to something even more subtle. "She can sense we're near home," Captain Chen said with amazement. "Wolves navigate by magnetic fields, atmospheric pressure, even gravitational variations. Her instincts are telling her that she's approaching familiar territory." As if to confirm the captain's theory, Star suddenly became more alert as well, responding to her mother's changed behavior even though she had been too young during their capture to have clear memories of Earth. Over the next 12 hours, as the Aurora moved into Earth orbit, both wolves became increasingly restless and excited. Luna spent more time looking toward the walls of their enclosure, as if she could see through the ship's hull to the planet beyond. Star mimicked her mother's behavior, pressing her nose against the transparent barriers and making soft yipping sounds. "Earth Control to Aurora," came a communication from the planet's surface. "You are cleared for landing at the Canadian Wildlife Rehabilitation Facility. All media has been restricted from the landing zone per your request." Lisa felt a mixture of joy and sadness as she prepared Luna and Star for their final journey home. Over the past 6 weeks, she had formed a bond with both wolves that went beyond simple caretaking. They had taught her about resilience, trust, and the incredible strength of maternal love. "I'm going to miss you both so much," Lisa whispered to Luna, as she sat with the wolves for what would probably be their last quiet conversation. "But you need to go back to where you belong." Luna seemed to understand the emotional weight of the moment. She approached Lisa and performed their familiar greeting ritual, gently pressing her nose against Lisa's hand, and then resting her head briefly on the human's shoulder. The landing at the Canadian Wildlife Rehabilitation Facility was carefully coordinated to minimize stress for all the rescued creatures. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading expert on wolf reintegration, was waiting with her team when the Aurora touched down on the specially prepared landing pad, surrounded by dense forest. "Captain Chen, it's an honor to meet you," Dr. Vasquez said as she boarded the ship. "Your crew's actions have inspired conservation efforts across 3 star systems. The real heroes are down in the simulation room," Captain Chen replied. "Ensign Park has formed a remarkable bond with our wolf family. She'll be essential for a smooth transition." When Dr. Vasquez first saw Luna and Star, she was impressed by their obvious health and relatively calm demeanor. "They look wonderful considering what they've been through. The younger one seems particularly well adjusted. Lisa has worked with them every day," Dr. Martinez explained. "She's established trust and communication patterns that have been crucial for their recovery. The transfer process was designed to be gradual and stress-free. Rather than immediately moving the wolves to a new enclosure, Dr. Vasquez's team set up monitoring equipment around the Aurora's simulation room and began the slow process of introducing forest scents and sounds from their original territory. "We've been tracking their original pack with remote cameras," Dr. Vasquez explained to Lisa. "Luna's mate and 2 other pack members have remained in the same territory. They've actually expanded their hunting range, possibly searching for the missing family." Lisa felt her throat tighten with emotion. "They've been looking for Luna and Star all this time. Wolf families are incredibly loyal. The pack bond is one of the strongest forces in nature. They never stopped believing that Luna and Star would return." Over the next 3 days, the wolves were gradually transitioned from the Aurora to a special outdoor enclosure that bordered their original forest territory. The facility was designed to allow the wolves to readjust to Earth's natural environment, while still providing medical monitoring and protection. Luna's transformation was immediate and dramatic. The moment she stepped onto real Earth under an open sky, her entire posture changed. She lifted her nose to the wind, detecting scents that triggered deep memories of home. For the first time since her rescue, she howled, not in distress but in recognition and joy. Star, who had spent most of her life in artificial environments, was initially overwhelmed by the complexity of natural sights, sounds, and smells. She stayed close to her mother, learning to interpret the information that her senses were providing about this new, yet somehow familiar world. The reintegration process typically takes several weeks, Dr. Vasquez explained to Lisa as they watched the wolves explore their temporary enclosure. "We'll gradually reduce the barriers between them and the wild until they're ready to rejoin their pack." Lisa visited the facility every day during her shore leave, maintaining her routine of quiet conversation with Luna and Star. The wolves clearly recognized her and continued to seek her presence, though their behavior was noticeably different in the natural environment. "They're remembering how to be wild," Dr. Vasquez observed. "Luna is teaching Star skills she couldn't demonstrate in the ship's simulation room. Look how she's showing her daughter to track scent trails and identify different sounds." The breakthrough came on the 5th day, when remote cameras detected the presence of other wolves nearby. Luna's mate and pack members had found their location and were calling to them from just beyond the facility's boundaries. Luna's response was immediate and intense. She answered their calls with howls that carried across the forest, communicating in ways that no human could fully understand. Star, hearing wild wolf voices for the first time in her memory, stayed close to her mother but added her own tentative calls to the conversation. "They're talking," Lisa said with wonder. watching Luna pace along the enclosure's edge closest to where the pack was calling from. "It's more than talking," Dr. Vasquez replied. "They're re-establishing family bonds, sharing information about what happened during their separation, and probably planning their reunion." That night, Dr. Vasquez made the decision to open the final barriers. Luna and Star were healthy, alert, and clearly being welcomed back by their pack. The time had come for their return to complete freedom. Lisa was present when the enclosure gates were opened just before dawn. Luna stepped through the opening tentatively, testing the reality of her freedom. Star followed closely, trusting her mother's judgment about this momentous step. For a moment, both wolves stood at the threshold between captivity and freedom, looking back at the humans who had saved them and cared for them. Luna approached Lisa one final time, pressing against her hand in their familiar greeting before turning toward the forest where her pack was waiting. 6 months after Luna and Star's return to the wild, the Canadian Wildlife Rehabilitation Facility had become a pilgrimage site for conservationists from around the world. Dr. Vasquez's detailed documentation of the wolves' reintegration had provided valuable insights into helping traumatized wildlife recover from captivity. Lisa Park stood at the edge of the forest preserve, wearing her new uniform as a wildlife protection officer for the human space fleet. Her experience with Luna and Star had inspired her to transfer from general exploration duties to specialized animal rescue operations. "Any signs of them today?" asked Dr. Vasquez, joining Lisa at the observation post overlooking the territory where Luna's pack maintained their hunting grounds. "The cameras picked up the whole pack near the river yesterday," Lisa replied, consulting her tablet. "Star is almost fully grown now, and she's apparently become quite the hunter. Luna taught her well." The success of Luna and Star's rescue had sparked a revolution in human space policy. The Aurora's mission had provided undeniable evidence that intelligent species throughout the galaxy were trafficking in stolen Earth creatures, leading to the establishment of the Interstellar Wildlife Protection Force. Captain Chen, now promoted to Admiral, headed the new organization from her headquarters on Luna Base. The Aurora and 12 other ships patrolled trade routes throughout human-explored space, intercepting illegal wildlife shipments and returning creatures to their homeworlds. "Admiral Chen to all stations," came a communication over Lisa's comm unit. "We've received intelligence about another Zephyrian trafficking operation in the Proxima system. The Aurora departs in 6 hours." Lisa felt the familiar surge of excitement that came with a new rescue mission. Every operation brought the possibility of saving creatures who might otherwise disappear forever into the darkness of illegal trade. "Will you be leading the animal recovery team?" Dr. Vasquez asked, knowing Lisa's reputation as the fleet's most effective wildlife specialist. "Yes, and I've learned a few things since Luna and Star taught me how to communicate across species barriers," Lisa replied with a smile. The techniques Lisa had developed working with the wolves had been adopted throughout the Wildlife Protection Force. Her methods emphasized patience, respect, and the understanding that traumatized animals needed time to learn trust. Her training programs were now required for all officers involved in creature rescue operations. As Lisa prepared to leave for her next mission, she took one final look toward the forest where Luna and Star were living their lives as wild wolves. Remote monitoring had shown that Star had grown into a strong, healthy adult who was already showing signs of eventually becoming a pack leader like her mother. "Sometimes I wonder if they remember us," Lisa said quietly. Dr. Vasquez smiled. "Oh, they remember. Wolf memory is remarkable, especially when it comes to emotional experiences. But they've moved beyond needing to remember us. They're fully wild again, which is exactly what we wanted." The impact of their rescue had spread far beyond Earth. The Galactic Council had passed the Universal Wildlife Protection Accord, making trafficking in sentient planet creatures a serious crime punishable by imprisonment and massive fines. The Zephyrian Trade Guild had been forced to abandon their wildlife operations entirely. Even more importantly, dozens of other species had come forward with their own stories of creature trafficking, leading to the discovery of a vast underground network that had been operating for centuries. The Aurora's simple act of refusing to allow 2 wolves to die in space had exposed a galactic criminal enterprise. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Centauri delegation," Lieutenant Torres reported from the Aurora's bridge as Lisa boarded for their new mission. They're requesting assistance with recovering some stolen creatures from their world. Acknowledge their request, Admiral Chen replied. Inform them that the Aurora will investigate immediately after completing our current operation. As the Aurora departed Earth orbit, Lisa found herself in the ship's new and improved animal care facility. The experiences with Luna and Star had led to completely redesigned containment systems that prioritize comfort and mental health over simple confinement. It's amazing how much we've learned, Dr. Martinez said, joining Lisa in the facility. Every rescue operation teaches us more about how to help traumatized creatures recover from their ordeals. The Aurora's current mission was heading toward a space station where intelligence indicated several Earth animals were being held for auction to private collectors. Among the suspected captives were a family of dolphins, 2 tigers, and a group of prairie dogs that had been stolen from various protected areas. The good news is that we're getting there much faster now, Lisa observed, noting their improved response time. The new detection networks mean we can intercept trafficking operations before the animals are sold and scattered across the galaxy. 3 days into their journey, they received an unexpected communication from Earth's Wildlife Monitoring Network. Dr. Vasquez appeared on the main screen with obvious excitement. Admiral Chen, Ensign Park, you need to see this. Our remote cameras captured something extraordinary yesterday. The screen filled with footage from the forest preserve showing Luna's pack gathered in a clearing. Star, now a magnificent adult wolf with her distinctive white forehead marking, was playing with 3 small puppies while Luna watched protectively nearby. Star has her own family now, Dr. Vasquez announced with joy. 3 healthy pups, and she's demonstrating the same protective instincts her mother showed when we first rescued them. Lisa felt tears of happiness welling up in her eyes. She learned how to be a mother from watching Luna. The cycle continues. There's more, Dr. Vasquez continued. Star's behavior with her pups is different from typical wild wolves. She's more patient, more protective, and she seems to be teaching them not to fear all humans. The traumatic experience she survived as a pup has actually made her a more adaptable and intelligent mother. Admiral Chen leaned forward with interest. Are you saying that Star's contact with humans has been beneficial rather than harmful? It's too early to make definitive conclusions, but preliminary observations suggest that her early positive experiences with your crew gave her cognitive tools that she's now passing on to her offspring. She's teaching them to evaluate situations rather than simply reacting with automatic fear or aggression. The implications were staggering. Star's rescue and rehabilitation hadn't just saved her life. It had potentially influenced the evolution of her entire bloodline. Her descendants might be better equipped to survive in a universe where humans and other spacefaring species were increasingly present. Computer, update mission logs, Admiral Chen said. The long-term effects of our wildlife rescue operations may extend far beyond individual creature recovery. We may be contributing to species adaptation and survival in ways we never anticipated. As the Aurora continued toward their next rescue operation, Lisa reflected on the remarkable journey that had begun with 2 frightened wolves in a metal cage. Luna's desperate love for her daughter and willingness to trust strangers had created ripple effects that were still spreading throughout the galaxy. The Wildlife Protection Force now operated over 40 ships, employed thousands of specialists from dozens of species, and had rescued creatures from more than 300 worlds. The network of cooperation that had grown from Luna and Star's story was proof that compassion could transcend the boundaries between species and create positive change on a galactic scale. Approaching target coordinates, reported the navigation officer. Sensors detect multiple Earth origin life signs aboard the suspected trafficking vessel. Lisa stood and prepared for another rescue mission, carrying with her the lessons that Luna and Star had taught about courage, resilience, and the power of love to overcome even the darkest circumstances. All rescue teams to positions, Admiral Chen ordered. Let's bring some more families home. As the Aurora moved into position for their next operation, the ship carried with it the spirit of 2 wolves who had refused to give up hope. A young human who had learned to speak the universal language of compassion, and a crew dedicated to proving that some things are worth crossing the galaxy to protect. In the forest of northern Canada, Star raised her head to howl at the stars, teaching her pups the ancient song of her people while somewhere in space. The humans who had saved her were continuing the work of making the universe a safer place for all creatures great and small. The Rescue that had begun with desperate wolf cries in a metal cage had become a galactic movement for justice, proving that even the smallest acts of kindness could echo through time and space to create change beyond imagination.